Tracking faces and license plates used to mean a lot of manual setup, careful clicking, and hoping nothing unexpected enters the shot. But with object tracking, Silhouette uses machine learning to automatically detect key objects in your footage and follow them throughout the shot. I'm Grant K for Boris Effects, and let's check this out. Now, the tracking toolset in Silhouette is integral to all VFX workflows, and because of that, you'll find them in multiple places within Silhouette. The most obvious tool to start with is the Tracker node. This can be found in the Transform category of the node window. We'll add this node into the node tree, and the tracking controls will appear. Now for this shot, we have a camera tracking backwards and revealing people posing on some stairs. Let's say we need to track their faces. We may be required to brighten up their faces or get quick tracking data for adding graphics that follows them, or even for some proof of concept VFX. Whatever the situation, we just need a decent track to do the job for this type of fast turnaround work. Looking at the tracking tools, there are loads to choose from, and we have tutorials for all of them. For this scenario, we'll use object tracking. This is for ML-powered automatic tracking of a particular class of object. In the drop-down, you can choose which ML model to use. You can track faces or license plates. Obviously, we'll choose faces in this case. You can also choose whether the tracking shape is oval or rectangle. These are default tracking shapes, and you can always modify them after the track, or just create new custom shapes in the tracked layer. The final option is minimum distance, and the default 100 rarely needs to be changed. This is how the ML scans each frame for something to track. If tracked objects are close together, we only get one generated shape. But if the objects are further apart, each one is tracked with a separate shape. This is incredibly important when tracking multiple faces or license plates, including ones going on and off screen. To prepare the track, we'll go to frame 1 and tell the tracker to detect objects in the current frame. The detection is very quick, and the ML has detected all the faces in this shot. You can see the layers and shapes in the object list, as well as the ovals on screen. We'll just change the color to make them much more obvious. This detection was only for this frame. To start the track, ensure the shapes are selected and click Track Forward. If at any point during the track a new face comes into shot, a new layer and shape will automatically be generated. With the track complete, all the faces are tracked with position, rotation, and scale. It's that easy. With all this tracking information, the data output can be connected into another node in the node tree, or we can copy and paste the layers into a different node. Let's look at a different example, but this time with the Roto node. We could do this from the node window, or by pressing Tab in the Trees window to quickly search for the Roto node. This will give us both tracking data and actual match shapes that we can use with other tools in Silhouette. Now, looking at this shot, we have a great party going on, but once again, we need to track their faces. The first step to using the object tracker with the Roto node is to choose the tracker tool. If you don't do this, your tracking controls won't appear. This works the same way as before. We go to the first frame and detect the objects. Since we're working in the Roto node, we can toggle the A hotkey to see the shape overlays and alpha. This is something you don't get when working just in the tracker node. Now click Track Forward. The ML thinks that there are extra faces in the shot, and this creates additional shapes and layers during the track. This was fine for the previous example with new faces appearing later in the shot, but here we're getting a few false positives. These are easy to clean up. Simply go to the object list and delete the extra layers and shapes. Let's play the shot and review all the tracked shapes. Being able to track so many faces in a couple of clicks is a huge time saver. I do want to be clear that the tracking is not 100% perfect as it would have been with some of the other trackers. But we did all these phases in seconds, and it's great for what we need. Let's do a confidence check on some of the track shapes. Enable the stabilization option above the viewer. Click the Enable button and set the mode to Active Layer. As you click through the layers in the object list, the viewer will stabilize and frame the selected layer. When you play the shot, you can see how the track is working for this layer. Overall, it's not too bad. However, I do want to look at a specific layer. The reason for choosing this layer is that the face is behind other people, and there is also quite a lot of head movement. Reviewing the playback, this layer has a lot more instability in its track, and we need to smooth it out to make it usable. One possibility is to manually adjust the keyframes on every frame, but that's too much work. Another suggestion is to average the tracking animation to smooth out the movement. This is not something currently available in this type of tracker, but it can be done as an action using Python scripting. Lucky for us, one of the team has created a script which I'll link below. Once installed, this goes into the Actions menu at the top. We'll go to Actions, Layer, and choose to duplicate and smooth the tracking. Unsurprisingly, this duplicates the selected layer and its shape in the object list and performs an averaging operation to smooth out the jitter. To show the difference, we'll select the original layer and play the shot. Next, select the layer that has been smoothed. We can see how the overall motion is the same, but all the micro jitter movements have been smoothed out. Once you're satisfied, you can delete the original layer and shape, as well as turn off the viewer stabilization. So that's the track taken care of, but we can also adjust the shape now if needed. Switch from the Tracker tool to the Reshape tool, and we can adjust the shapes how we like without affecting the track. Just like any track layer in Silhouette, I can also add multiple shapes into the layer, and they'll all share the same main motion. We can also select one or multiple shapes in order to blur, as well as adjust the size of the shape by shrinking or growing them. Toggle A to turn off the matte or overlays. This is a great tracked result for only a few seconds of work. We'll just switch over to one more session where we've used the license plate ML to detect any license plates in the shot. This is the original shot, and we've been tasked with blurring out the license plates. Using the Roto node and the object tracker, the license plate ML has detected and tracked license plates throughout the shot. This created a series of roto shapes that can now be used with a filter. This was all piped into a blur node, and the license plates are no longer visible. For fast and convenient tracking of multiple objects, the Object Tracker with ML is a great tool to have in your Silhouette arsenal. If you want more, let us know in the comments. We also have the official Boris Effects forums and Discord server for bigger discussions. Links below. I'm Grant K for Boris Effects, and see you next time.